Today I'd like to share with you how I go about drawing faces. Now, this may not be the best method in the world for drawing faces. You may have a different method of drawing faces. It's just how I like to draw faces, and I would like to share with you how I do things. How I approach this is that I want to be able to draw a face for fun and not get too bogged down in too much detail. So there's lots of methods out there, the Loomis method and others. And they require a kind of an underdrawing of a skull. And I just want to be able to draw directly in ink. I want to be able to grab a pen, start doodling, and before you know it, I've got something that looks like a face. So for me, this is more about having fun and creating an image that I'm pleased with. It is roughly proportional, and by that I mean you can trace a portrait if you want to do a fine drawing. You can use the box grid method if you want to get all of the proportions in the right place, and they kind of just take out the fun of just grabbing a pen and just drawing. For me, they do. So I want to share with you how I go about looking at a face and then trying to render it. If I'm going to do a portrait and I want absolute proportion, absolute scale, and I'm going for something that's very realistic, photorealistic, then yeah, sure, you would towards tracing the image or projecting the image or using the box grid method. But this is how I go about sketching in my sketchbook. We're going to start with Pinterest, simply because I've got some faces. Can't even find it. There we are. I've got some faces saved on here, and this one shoots to mind. I've got lots and lots of pictures that I go through, and if I see something that I kind of like, I'll draw it. For instance, that one I drew. Let me just skip back in this book. So there we are. That was a quick sketch, but that sketch took me 5 minutes, and there's no underdrawing, there's no messing about and faffing and box gridding and tracing. It's just I kind of liked all of the craggy little lines, all the wrinkles, and I thought I'd have a go at capturing her. So back to a blank page. There we are. So let's just find a face that I haven't drawn yet, and we're going to attempt this girl. So what I'm going to look for in this face is the relation of everything, and I typically just use the left eye. I always, at the moment, I always go from the left eye. So I start drawing with the left eye, and everything maps out from the left eye. The interesting thing about Pinterest is if you zoom in, you can only maximum zoom on Pinterest to that point, which means that we can now, I'm going to grab a bit of paper or something and some scissors. Right. So I do this all by eyeball, excuse the pun. I do this all by eye when I'm drawing, and I'll pick the kind of the extremity, so the tear duct to the outer part of the eyes. Now I'm just going to cut that out. So we've just got a crude little right pair of scissors. Right. So that's my unit of measure for this lady, one eye. And as I say, when I'm doing this, I'm guessing, and I eyeball it. I don't actually measure anything. I don't do this paper method. This is just to show you how I would look at her face. So I would start by just drawing that left eye, and then once I've drawn that, I've gone, okay, so my unit of measurement for this face is an eye, tear duct to the corner. The corner's a bit woolly because here we've got eyelashes and whatnot going on, so it's a bit vague as to where the corner of the eye actually is, but we can wing it. So starting off, her eye should be the same length as the other eye. So there we have it. Tear duct to corner of eye, her eyes are even. Now, as long as we keep maximum zoom, whatever we zoom in on this image, we're going to be using that as a method of measurement. The tear ducts are an eye apart. So we've now got an eye duct to eye duct, and an eye, 3 eyes length. How wide is it from the corner of the eye to the outside of the head? Bearing in mind that this face is more or less square on, ever so slightly tilted, I think. So again, we're going to zoom into the maximum zoom in, and we're going to go from the corner of that eye. So the eye length, another eye length, gives us the very tip of the ear, the very edge of the outside ear. I think over here is the top part of the ear lobe. So we can say roughly that the cheekbone is about 3/4, just over half. If we were to say that that's half and that's 3/4, that's somewhere in between. So again, I'll just be eyeballing where the eye and the side of the head is. So somewhere in between half and 3/4. And we can do the same for the other side, bearing in mind that the head is slightly tilted. From the corner of the eye, how much of an eyeball? Again, yes, it's the same, isn't it? It's about half, 3/4. So the face ends 3/4. We've got an eyeball and a 3/4 of an eyeball. Does that make sense? Let's now look at, if we're plotting this on a bit of paper, how tall should we allow the paper to be? I don't always do this. Sometimes I'm not fussed about getting all of the hair in and stuff. So let's just look at the skull. We use another bit of scrap paper. And again, when I'm drawing, I might be in a cafe doing this, and you can't run over to someone and measure their head, so you're just eyeballing it. So the chin to the tear ducts, roughly to where tear ducts to where the hairline starts. So we can roughly say that those tear ducts are in the middle of that skin mass from the hairline down to the chin. And we can also say that tear ducts to the chin is the same as the hair. So we've got 3 even parts: hair, tear ducts, chin. So if we're wanting to place this on a bit of paper, we can kind of go to a piece of paper that we're drawing on and go, okay, I'm going to divide that into thirds, and I know that yeah, that's the hairline. That's the top of the hair. That's where the eyes are, the tear duct, and that's the chin. So however big your bit of paper is, you can start off doing that. And in this case, in this sketchbook, you may decide you want to do the whole face on the whole page, in which case you would just start and go, okay, that's the top, that's the bottom, and then let me put my thirds in. And then you kind of know how high it is. You then got to work out how wide it's going to be. So we know that, let's just recount these things as we go along. An eyeball is my key measure. An eyeball, tear duct to tear duct. An eyeball obviously should be the same length if the face is more or less square on. Side of the head is 3/4 of an eye. And then I'm going to measure everything else out from my eye. Where's my master? Yeah, that is the bit of paper. Okay, so maximum zoom on Pinterest. I'm only using Pinterest because it's good that it maximum zooms. So tear duct, there we are. The tear duct's going across. One eye down is, let's call that the tip of the nose. That's the bulbous part of the nose, the bit that sticks out the most if we were looking at the side profile of her face. So that's one eye, so just to there. So if we then extend that down, another eye is more or less the center of the mouth where the lips meet. So we've kind of, again, very rough. We're going from eyeball to eyeball, tear ducts, tip of the nose, which is about there somewhere ish, and the middle of the mouth. So eye ducts to where the lips meet, not the top of the lips, not the bottom of the lips, is about 2 eyes. And can we draw a conclusion from the lips? So the lips, where they meet, again, the middle line to the chin is an eye. So we've got an eye and then 2 eyes. So we've now got the length of the face, haven't we? The other thing we can do is look at the width of the nose. How wide is that nose in relation to our key measurement? Again, maximum zoom on Pinterest. And look at that. It's ever so slightly more than one eyeball. That's the side of the nostril there. I don't know if you can see it. This is a bit blown out with the lighting. So the nostril, outside edge to outside edge, is about an eye. And the reason it's probably longer than an eye is that she's got this funny kind of smirk smile, which is pulling the face. And you can kind of see it's being pulled because the nostril up is being pulled upwards. We haven't got symmetry on this nostril. I mean, most people don't have. I've got a horribly asymmetric nostril. When you look dead on me, it kind of, yeah, it's a bit wonky. So this nostril isn't symmetric, and it's being pulled slightly to the left. The other things we can do is look at where is this nostril and this nostril in relation to everything else. Typically, sweeping statement, I'm going to use the side of the phone now, so we're over here. Tear duct to the side of the nostril, straight line. So that's directly beneath the tear duct. And is that the same on the other side? It kind of would be if she wasn't pulling this funny face. But because she's smirking and pulling the muscles everywhere, the side of the nostril, which is here, is kind of inside the tear duct. So when we come to draw the nose, we know it's tear duct, side of the nostril, tear duct, slightly in, not on the edge of the tear duct. So we now know that the nose is one eyeball wide. And we're kind of getting there, aren't we? I think we've kind of managed. We could do the forehead. So again, if we go from a position that we know well, the tear duct going upwards, we've got one eye ish, takes you to the top of the eyebrow ish. 2, 2.5 is 2 3/4. So again, it depends where you want to define the hairline, but we've got that forehead from the tear ducts is roughly not quite 3 eyeballs in height. Now, that's a very long explanation of my method of drawing faces, but it allows you then to draw a face quite quickly. And I'm going to attempt to show you how I do that. And I like drawing in ink. This is a Fudu, can't even say it, Fudden Oak Souk brush pen. This is the WSBH. This is the hard version. They do a soft version. Black ink. It's a nice black ink. I like drawing in ink because it requires you to make concise, thoughtful marks. Unlike a pencil where you can kind of keep messing about in an area until you think you found the right spot. When you're using ink, it makes you more thoughtful about what you're doing. So I'm now going to... the other thing I just wanted to mention is about angles. So we can see, again, we're maximum zoom in on Pinterest. If we drop her eye down to this horizontal line we've got, we can see that the eye corner to corner is kind of doing that angle, and one would presume that the other eye is doing the same. So again, we've got that kind of angle going on. And then because she's putting this funny smirk, the muscles are pulling up on the corner of the mouth, and we can obviously see that the mouth has a very similar... Where's my bit of paper? So the angle of the mouth is roughly the angle of the eye. And then the only other thing to note is, I suppose you could say that the angle of the mouth is similar. Oops. The angle of the mouth is not dissimilar to, not a million miles off, the angle of the nose, and see how the nostril is coming down to a point. So the nostril outside come down to the, is it the fulcrum? Yeah, I don't know. That angle is nice. It is quite a wide V shape. So that's her. Now, the advantage of doing what I've just explained, and that's taken a very long time for me to explain what just goes on in my head when I'm drawing, is that you can now take this face, and because you know all of the relative proportions of her face to that eye, you can now, if you want, it's only shrinks down so far, you're going to get the gist. You can now take that and draw that face small, or you can draw it huge if you want, because what you're doing is you're making the first mark and everything is an eye's sense of unit of measurement. So let me just park that here. I'm gonna do some quick and rough doodles. So I just want to demonstrate what I'm talking about with regards to, this is going to be a very quick and crude picture, unlike, say, for instance, where you spend a little bit more time. This face was, again, I drew the eye first, then I worked out another eye, then I worked out the other eye, then I worked out the distance to the nose, to the teeth, to the bottom of the lip, to the chin. So I'm kind of looking at the master image or someone in a cafe, and I'm kind of doing this, eyeballing it. And sometimes you kind of get it wrong, and you'll finish a face and you think, oh, that's a bit too narrow, or it's a bit too long. But it's only taken you 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I can't remember how long this sketch took. It probably took me 10 minutes. This one, this was actually a copy off of the internet. Someone had done a lovely drawing and I wanted to have a go at it. So that drawing was 10 minutes. This is, I did the same here. I drew the eye and then drew the circle of the lens, the glasses around the eye. This was from a photograph. And then once you've got that side of the spectacle in, the other is obviously a mirror image. I don't think I've ever seen a pair of glasses where they're not symmetrical. So that was quite easy to do, and then you just fill in the shapes inside that lens, and then you just measure it again, everything out from the width of that eye. And you can kind of see by how quick and crude the lines are how long that took me. It didn't take long, and this is what I'm trying to get across about drawing pictures, is that it should just be fun, quick and easy. If you want to do a laboured portrait of somebody, then there's a time and a place and a method to do that. For me, this is just the fun of doing. Now I'm doing portraits. I'm going to sketch it in so that you can see some of the working lines and how I think. But I don't normally draw like this. So the eye, let's start that there as the angle and the width of the eye. So that's my starting point, and I'm just going to hop over here and go, that's about the same. So an eye, and then the other eye had a similar angle, similar length. Side of the head, if that is another eye, it was just over half. If that is another eye, just over half. Now, I've got a ruler here. I've seen people drawing on Instagram and TikTok and the like, and they'll take that measurement and then they'll make another measurement and then they'll make another measurement and then they'll make another measurement. That's fine if you want to do that, and you might well find yourself doing that initially for confidence, I suppose. But after a while, once you've been drawing faces in this method, you won't need a ruler. And very occasionally, I'll to confirm I'm doing something, I might do the old kind of what's the length of a bit of the pen, and is it the same as that over there? Yes, it is, kind of thing. So far we've got the inside of the tear ducts. Now, obviously, I've drawn inside corner to inside corner. The eyeball goes kind of beneath and above, but I'm not going to be drawing those in or worrying about those for this demonstration. We also understand that from the tear duct, we said that the bulbous part of the nose was about an eye. And we said another eye took us to where the lips join, there or thereabouts. So again, I'm not being too pedantic about the exact millimetre measurements for this face. For me, it's a there or thereabouts. Can I get the essence of the face, and does it look like a face, and have I been able to do it in 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. I'll show you an example back here at the beginning of this book. I did some sketches of people that were following me on, it might be in a different book. Oh no, here we are. These were people that were following me on Instagram, their avatars, and not everyone's got a portrait, self-portrait, in a selfie in their avatar. So I went through and I did 11, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12. 12 pictures. These were continuous line drawings of their avatars. If I don't mind saying so, they weren't bad. But I spent 15 minutes in total for these 12 pictures. So each of these little pictures took me a minute and some seconds each as a continuous line drawing, and you can kind of see how rough and crude they are. Some of them I'm more pleased with than others, but that's where I'm heading at. If I can get someone's likeness, and again, I start with the left eye, and once I've drawn that left eye in, I know that there's another eye's difference between the, for most people, not everyone's exactly bang on, but it's a good rule of thumb. So we've got an eye length, an eye length, an eye length, and then you've got the width, and then you can start mapping it all out based on this eye. And every time I start, for me, on the left eye. So let's just nip back to this demonstration. Okay, so we've got the lips, and then I think we said that from the middle of the lips, and is that the same distance, that eye? Yeah, kind of. So that's the chin, and then I'm just looking at the master image. The chin, the nose, we said that's the bulbous part of the nose. Then the nostril was beneath the tear duct. we've got it coming down slightly, going up slightly higher, but it was inside this tear duct, wasn't it? It wasn't on the outside, it was on the inside. So the nose is a little bit wider on one side if we're looking at symmetry. And we can kind of draw in her nostrils. Of course, if you're doing this in pencil, it's quite easy to add shade to demonstrate the volume of a face. But again, as I say, I'm doing this quite quickly for you all. Then we've got. I must learn the parts of the face. We've got a little V in there for the top of the lip, and I've drawn that too high because we said that's where the lips meet, so wasn't concentrating. So the V is a little bit higher. The start of the mouth is at the same height as that kind of that second eye down, and it's slightly over from the nostril. And again, another thing we can look at is where does the corner of the mouth hang beneath another feature? So inside the tear duct, corner of the mouth pupil. So the pupil on this eye has the corner of the mouth, this corner of the mouth inside the tear duct. So we'll just go back to our picture. So inside the tear duct, we've got corner of the mouth. We've got a bit of an angle going up. And if we're putting the pupils somewhere like that, then that's where the lips meet. We can then come back and put in, it's slightly skewed to, because she's putting that smirk, that smile, everything's pulled to one side, so it's not perfect symmetry. I kind of messed that up earlier. Yeah. The chin is again, the chin is roughly the same width as the nose. So we can kind of say that this flatness here on the chin, obviously it's rounded on the corners, very roughly speaking, if that was an eye wide, that's about an eye wide. So we've got the width of the nostril, the width of the chin, sorry, is about the same width as the nostril. We can, if we want, draw in this cheekbone crease, and again you would just look at, you can use the side of your phone if you're doing this on Pinterest, that it's inside the inside edge of the eye to the side of the iris. So we might say that that point would be there somewhere, and it kinks up slightly. There's a slight curve there. So again, this is quite a crude way that I'm drawing this, and it's taken me a long time because I'm having to explain my thought process. We can look at the angle of the face. So we just established that the side of the head's about 3/4 of an eye from the corner of the eye. And then if we put that on the side of the phone, we can now see the angle. So there's a lovely angle that comes down, kind of dips in a little bit if you want to be pedantic, comes down, and then this cheekbone is kind of underneath the nostril. Can we see that? Cheekbone's underneath the nostril. So that angle comes down, and then it kicks in to where the chin is. Make sense? Okay, and we're still corner of that eye to the side of the head, and it still goes out a wee bit before it meets the hairline. And then we could, if we wanted, draw in what looks to be the ear. The ear starts underneath the eye, here somewhere. It's quite tight to the head, and it goes up there somewhere. So this head is tilted forward slightly, making the ears appear higher. When you've got someone looking at you dead on, the ears appear lower, and typically the bottom of the ear will be somewhere around about the bottom of the nose. So again, we can see over here that the bottom of the ear, the top of the ear is up here somewhere. The bottom of the ear is where the bag of the eyeball is. If that makes sense. So we could draw those bags in underneath the eyeballs, and that is where the ear is, and then that's lost in hair. Okay. So far so good. And I've just got to draw in the other cheekbone. So the other cheekbone again is ever so slightly beneath the nostril line, and that angle again from the earlobe down to this cheekbone, and then it kicks in and comes down to the chin. So that's what I've got so far. If I was drawing this without the explanation to everyone, that's a 1 minute sketch, isn't it? Lines and lines, lines. Yeah, 2 minutes. Doesn't take long. And this is what I'm talking about, making sketching fun. It shouldn't be too prescribed to drawing out a grid, or grabbing your compass, or measuring everything, or grabbing some tracing paper. This is just fun. Whilst we're down here on the chin, we can look at the neck. So the neck kind of continues to the corner of the eye. Can you see that? Put it over on the side of the screen. That neck kind of shoots up and touches the corner of the eye. What's the other side of the neck do? And then the other side of the neck is doing something similar. It's coming up and touching. So if we were to have continued that neck from the corner of the eye, and that's our neck. And I think we said earlier, did we measure that? Can't remember. So again, this is my master measurement, and I'm only using this to demonstrate to everyone in video land. So that's the eye length, and maximum zoom. Chin to the top is a fraction over an eye. So chin to the top is just a fraction over. Okay. When we were measuring earlier, I think we said that the forehead was about 2 3/4 eyes. The hairline, roughly, it depends where you want to define where this hairline is. So the hairline is there roughly, comes around the side of the head, and we've got some hair here, and you can start working out how high that goes. Pointing to the inside of this eyebrow, we've got a wisp of hair that goes all the way up. This eyebrow, I think we said the top of the eyebrow was about an eye from the tear ducts. So tear duct upwards, one eye was the top of that eyebrow. Kind of like that. And then this one's lower, much lower. And then the nose pinches in. One's in shadow and one's not, but let's just draw them both in. There we are. And then if we were to shade the side of that nose, something like that. If we're shading, we've got a wee bit of cheekbone shading going on there. Obviously the shading, large part of this face is in shading. Most of that neck is in shading. So this is really quick and crude demonstration. I'm just showing you where all the elements are. And then we said that the face was roughly in thirds, didn't we? So we said a third for the hair, a third down to the tear ducts, and a third down to the chin. So if we're doing that, that's 1/3, that's 2/3, that's 3/3. So this hair, yeah, so that is in essence how I draw faces. Everything's measured from one eye, and whilst I wouldn't plot all of the bits, I'm going to show you how I'm going to draw this face in a minute. I don't normally plot all of the bits in advance. What I normally do is just start drawing an eye, and then I'll draw all the bits as I go and build out. So I hope that's been of some use. You might decide that it's the worst method for drawing faces, but it allows me to very quickly sketch in someone's face, a head, a portrait, and I can do this while having a coffee in a coffee shop, whilst I'm sat on the sofa watching TV, and it's a stress-free, fun way to draw. And if you get a bit of the proportion wrong, if you get a bit out of step on something, who cares? It's your sketchbook. It's there for you to have fun and learn. And the more of these that you do, what I find is that I get incrementally better each and every time. So yeah, hope you like that. Thanks for watching.